Hello and welcome. Today we are going to be making something together. It is the soap saver. I love soap savers. I love using them. I love gifting them. I really love gifting them. And in the summertime, like right now, I love making them because they're small, cotton. It's just a pleasure. You want to do something with your hands. It's too hot to hold a bunch of wool. You don't want to be draped under too much fabric. This is perfect, am I right? And you can make a ton of them really inexpensively and be ready for all those surprise gifts when November and October and December come up, because you never know when you're just gonna need a little gift, a hostess gift, a coworker gift, somebody at one of your groups that you go to, somebody at church. People pop up with gifts and you are not prepared for them. So I think of it now. My favorite way to present these is by making a matching dishcloth, wrapping it in there, and sticking that entire thing, to go that way so it looks kind of flowery, into a coffee mug. And I just think it's absolutely adorable. You could also flip it and have that part up, totally up to you. And I put it in a little coffee cup. I usually get them at the dollar store. And I like Yardley soap. Where's box? The Yardley English Lavender. I just think it smells really pretty. It smells really clean. And rumor has it, lavender keeps away mosquitoes, which makes it perfect in my book. I pay about $2 for a box of Yardley. I usually get one or two at a time. I pay $2 for a ball of cotton. And we'll talk about the different cottons available in just one second. I'm not going to drone on and on about the materials, but I know that you're going to have a couple questions and I want to go over them in case I can help beforehand. And I will say that this is 120 yards. And here's one that was the same size. And I got this and still have that much. Now you can use also your Lion Brand re-up. It is comparable in length, 114 yards. So you'll get about the same amount. And of course you can use, where's my little bundle? We're using this one for the demonstration today, so he's open. The Sugar and Cream, very comparable lengthwise. You'll get quite a few. You'll get 2 full sets if you make a matching dishcloth. And the big question that people have been asking me, the new ombre from Peaches and Cream. It is skinnier, softer, slinkier, just lovely. It feels soft enough to be a wearable. It is absolutely beautiful, but it is smaller. Here's all of it. And I got every color when I saw it. I happened to find it at Walmart, $1.97 I believe, might have been 78. And so far, out of a ball like this, I have this much left and I've gotten 1 full set. Boop, boop. And this little guy. So I will definitely get one of my little cloths out of this, which means I'll get 2 full set, which makes it about $1 per set. I cannot complain about that. And how pretty is this? And it crocheted up so nicely. I will say they all end up the same size except the new ombre, and he is working up just a little bit smaller. Woo. Let me take my soap out. So the ombre is working up teensy bit smaller. I made reference to that in the pattern, which is free over on my blog, Melody Crochet, but they both fit the soap beautifully. So he slides in there. Maybe a little more challenging, but just as functional. For the same hook size, same pattern, everything the same. So I'm pretty pleased. I would say it's definitely interchangeable, even though it does look to be a little bit smaller. Where's my dishcloth? Here's my little face cloth that I like to gift with them. It's the same pattern. Just a little bit smaller, but just as functional. They like to buckle in because I have that textured area. The textured areas always pucker in, but after the first wash, it's perfect. Okay, let's get started. Here's the tail end of your yarn. Here's the working end connected to the ball. Grab the tail, wrap it around your finger 2 times. We're gonna make a slip knot. Take the bottom strand over the top. Take the new bottom strand over the whole finger. No, not you, stay a little one. And replace your finger with the hook. And yank. So now you have a slip knot on your hook, and you need to chain 11 times. Chaining just means yarning over, pulling through. That was 1. Here's 2. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 11. Now, a lot of patterns will say put a single crochet, double crochet, half double crochet, such and such chains from hook. So this is hook. I know this is a hook, but this is considered hook. Don't count this as a chain from hook. This is 1 chain from hook, and this is 2 chains from hook. That's where we're going to place our single crochet. A single crochet just means insert right into that second chain from the hook, grab that yarn and draw up a loop by bringing it back, wrap, and pull under everything on your hook. That's a single crochet. Now we're going to do one in the next chain. 1, and the next until you've done it 9 times. That's going to leave 1 unworked chain at the very end because we're working in the round. Now we have worked our way across for our 9 single crochets. And we're going to work 3 single crochets in that very last chain right there. So there's 1 and 2, and here's 3. Okay, so what we have here, let me just show you a little bit of anatomy going on here. We have chained, and then we came back and we single crocheted, and now in the very first chain that we made completely, we have put 3 single crochets. So we've kind of come up and we've arched. Now we're going to single crochet. This is the chain, the back side of that chain, and we're going to make a bit of an oval, and that's what working in the round is going to be. We're just going to go around. We're not going to turn at any point. It's super simple, but I want to make sure that I'm clear because sometimes the wording gets a little confusing when we talk about going to the back side of the chain. So just like it says, we've single crocheted 3 times. There's the 3rd one, and now we are going to single crochet into the first chain. 1 and the next, 1 in each for 8 total. There we go. And that's going to look different for everybody when you're first starting out. It is not terrible. Do not worry. You will end up with something that can be used as a soap saver, even if this is your first project. No worries. It doesn't have to be perfect right off the bat. It'll still be functional. That's the beautiful thing about making dishcloths and soap savers and things for your first projects. So here is our first single crochet that we made. Then we worked all the way across, then we did the 3, now we've done 8 there. We need 2 more to sit right by that first one. Just like we did 3 at this end, we need 2 more so we could have 3 at this end. So right near the bottom of it, just 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And now we have 22 stitches all the way around. What we're going to do now is slip stitch into the very first single crochet we made. It's going to be this guy. You could tell because single crochets and all crochet stitches are going to have this cute little V at the top. If you need to count your stitches, that's what you want to count, by the way. Don't try and count this way. That is just, yeah, that's not going to work out for you. It's just a bunch of lines. But this is workable. You can count that pretty easily, right? So you're going to slip stitch underneath the very first V, and feel free to count. Heck, I'll count right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. There he is. We're going to put our hook underneath that V. This is your slip stitch. It's going to be fiddly. The end of the first row always is. So I put my hook underneath that V. yarn over and pull under everything on your hook. And that's the end of row 1. The most fiddly row of this entire project. You have crossed the hurdle, so you might as well finish now. Chain 1, which means yarn over, pull under 1. We needed some height so we could start the second row, and that's why we do the chain 1. And now you're going to single crochet all the way across, 1 single crochet in each stitch. Really, really simple. Let me show you how you're going to do that, because you're going to do that 2 more times after this also. So insert into the stitch right by your chain and single crochet all the way across 22 times. "21, 22." And this is going to look like a really big gap. So here is the top of your first stitch, and here is the end of your 22nd. And it's going to look a bit gappy. If you didn't count, it would be very easy to add a stitch at the end of each row on accident and end up with 22, 23, 24, 25. Goodness knows it's happened to me. But if you count, and feel free to count at the end of each row. If you didn't count while you were making the stitches, feel free to count back until you get 22. And then you're going to slip stitch at the top of the first single crochet, drop the loop for that slip stitch, and chain 1. And then you can start row 3 and then subsequently row 4, and they will look exactly like that. I will meet you at the end of that. There we go. There's the end of row 4. I have not yet slip stitched, but we have 22 stitches all the way around single crochets. Very, very simple. If you have any questions about it, feel free to leave those in the comments. I'm always here to help. But we are going to slip stitch into that first single crochet, chain 2. We are about to start our mesh rows. There are 11 of them total. So we've chained 2. We are skipping a stitch. That one, forgive. This counts as the stitch that you're coming up in, so that is basically like a single crochet in a stitch. So when you're skipping a stitch, you're skipping the next one, and then we're going to single crochet in that one. So right there, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet after you skip one more stitch, chain 1, skip a stitch, and land it in the next one. Single crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, and single crochet in the next one. And you're going to do that all the way across. It's going to be 11 single crochets and 11 chain spaces. This one you will really have to take a peek, open up those stitches, make sure you're in the right place. But after this, it is so fast and easy. We're not even going to be doing any chain spaces or slip stitches. Ooh, there he goes. And we've come full circle. Here is our first single crochet. Here is our first chain space. Here's our last single crochet. Here is our last chain space to skip. We are going to slip stitch and just single crochet. Actually, I'm sorry. We are not going to slip stitch. We are going to go directly into single crocheting right into that first chain space. Chain 1, skip that single crochet. So you're no longer skipping any chain spaces. You're going to be chain 1, single crocheting into each chain space. And it's probably, I don't know if it's as obvious on camera. It's pretty obvious. So here's where we just single crocheted. There's a single crochet previous row, and there is the chain space. We will be single crocheting, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet all the way across. And we're going to do that for 11 total rows. So this is chain 1. We're working on, this is row 1, and we are working on row 2 already. So it's already going quickly. So single crochet, chain 1. And I'm holding my yarn very funny to tension it. I always do this when the projects are small. Once they get bigger, I can open my hand up a bit and relax. But right from the get-go, I'm like, death grip, you know? So we chained 1 and single crochet. So I'm finding that next place to single crochet. Chain 1. And it's easy to tell which side you're starting on because the string will be on the opposite end. So if the string is over here, that means my row started over here. Because eventually you'll be counting. I'll show you how to do that in just a second. I'm mostly going by feel because I'm in a chain space with my finger right there. Then I know that's a stitch. Then there's a chain space, and that's where I'm planting it. So after a bit, you won't even have to look. You just kind of feel for the next one. Single crochet, chain 1, feel for the next one. There we go. And before you know it, it will be 2.5 feet long, and you'll have to rip out a ton of crochet because you went crazy. Maybe not 2.5 feet, but I've definitely gotten to where it's way longer than it should be and had to pull out tons of work because it goes really, really fast. Okay, so continue on this way, and I'll be back in a second. Not when I'm finished with my 11 rows, but just to show you how to count. Okay, now's a good time to stop and show. Alrighty, so the beginning of the row is on, so if the tail's over here, the beginning of the row's over here. So we're gonna show you on this side because there'll be more rows. If you're counting rows, the easiest way is to start the first, you can see where it starts, there's the mesh beginning. There's a stitch, and then above it is a stitch. It's gonna be offset. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4. We've completed 4 rows and you're going for 11. So that's when you'll know to stop because you'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 and it'll go 11. You might even have to zigzag back so that you can kind of zigzag like 1, 2 and then over here and then over here. As long as it's slightly above and offset, you're counting a different row. So I will see you in 11 rows of mesh and I'll show you how to end that row. And here we are with 11 rows of mesh, all squished up. They're so cute before they've been used. They just look so tidy. And then what we're gonna do, now I can tell that the row started on the other end because in there, it's hard to see, but in there, the tail is on this end, which means the row started over here. So this is the end of my 11th row. And I just counted my little stitches all the way up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So what we're gonna do is slip stitch into the first stitch available to us. So send that hook under that V, grab the yarn and pull under everything on the hook, and chain 1. And much like the beginning, we are going to single crochet around for 2 rows. That means we're gonna be landing a single crochet in the top of, now this is your call. We need 22 single crochets. If you can't figure out where to do that in your crochet, like your single crochet stitch, just put 2 single crochets in each chain hole. The pattern will probably say different, to single crochet in the top of each single crochet and then one time in each chain space. But either way, you're going to end up with 2 single crochets and 22 total. And that's the important part. Gotta make it your own, right? There we go, I've run out. That means I should have 22 stitches. There's 5, 10, 15, 20, and 2. Perfect. Now we're going to slip stitch into the first single crochet. Come here. There he goes. Chain 1 and single crochet around one more time. There we go. And then slip stitch into the top of the first single crochet. Now we're going to have to look at this just a little bit, and we're going to peg our front center stitch. Now theoretically it should be 5 stitches in. There's 11 stitches on the front and 11 stitches on the back. So we should be able to single crochet for 5, have the center stitch, and single crochet for 5, because that's going to be 11, 5, 5, and 1. And mine landed that way. If you lay yours down and it's the 6th stitch or something, just do this in the 6th stitch. Don't worry about it, but we're going to make a little buttonhole. So we're going to single crochet in the first space and then subsequently 5 total. There's 5. Now we're going to chain for 3. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to skip that 1 stitch, the 6th stitch, and single crochet in the 7th. And we're going to single crochet 10 total. So we're going to flip it, go on to the other side. Oops. Now I'm going to lay this down again and make sure that I have landed on the back center. And I have, but if you're off, feel free to single crochet until you get that back center stitch. So I'm going to, in that back center stitch, slip stitch in. So I inserted, drop a loop, and pull under the other loop on my hook. Now I'm going to chain for 30. There's 20. There's 30. I've crocheted to the center. I've chained 30, and right there, if I take that last chain and set it beside the first, that's how long our string would be. If you would like your string to be longer than this, then go ahead and keep going. If you want it a little shorter, maybe you're just putting it around a little knob or a little hook, feel free to do less, but this one works out for me. It's not too long to where it's springing all over, falling into the sink. It's not too short to where I can't get it around anything. It works out really well. So I like chaining 30. I always chain 30 unless I have something else in mind, but feel free to make it your own, of course. So tighten that string right back around. We're working in the very same stitch that we slip stitched in to begin with. We're going to slip stitch again. Just adds a little bit more structure than if you skip. And then tighten it up. Boop. When I say tighten it up, by the way, I hope I'm clear. I just mean take that working yarn and yank. I like to do that quite often. Makes things tidy. So we have 5 more unworked stitches, and we're going to single crochet in them. And there's the 5th. Now we are going to slip stitch into the first, and we're just going to do a little tidy up. So I've slip stitched, I've chained 1. I'm single crocheting until I hit that chain space. He's right there. Come here. Oh, he doesn't want to talk to me. There he goes. Top of that last single crochet before the gap was closing up on me. Now I have the gap. 3 single crochets into the gap. Beautiful. And now single crochet along the top. So we have 10 more stitches. Now we've gotten to the gap, and what I'm going to do is tighten up the yarn on my hook and completely skip that stitch and those chains and everything about them, and go to the stitch after it and single crochet tightly into it. That way it's not looking flimsy. I'll show you what I mean when we get to the end of this row. Then 4 more, 3, 2, and now I'm going to slip stitch into the first and fasten off, which means I'm just going to grab my yarn, pull it through, draw up a loop, disconnect it from the working yarn, give it a little yank to tighten it up and clean it up. Put that right, just do it now. You don't want to think about doing it later. Just pop it onto a yarn needle, open up the inside a little bit, and go ahead and work inside 3 or 4 stitches because it's cotton and it will fray. Pull it out upside down and go back the way you came on the row beneath it. Right about there. There he goes. And pull through. There we go. You don't have to think about it anymore. Then we'll analyze him, shall we? Okay, so what we have here, we skipped over this stitch altogether right there. Oops, there we go, right there. And just skipped that whole chain mess right there and just went right past it like it didn't exist, which pretty much made it look like this chain came out of nowhere. If we had single crocheted between the 2 of them or anything like that, it would have just made them more pronounced. I've tried that. Feel free to do what you like though. I mean, if you're into that, go for it. You can also do this striped up, polka dotted yarn, whatever you like. Change the yarn colors between the mesh and the flat if you just have some scraps, although this takes hardly any yarn. And this little buttonhole, so you take your chain, and I find it's pretty convenient to just put it through that little chain 3 gap that we created. And there you have it. There is our soap saver. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those down below. Like I said, the free pattern is over at my blog, melodycrochet.com. Just look it up under Sudsy Buddy Soap Saver, which is also linked down below. Down below, you'll also have a link to all of the things that we use to make this, the favorite dishcloths of mine over at Amazon, and the answer to any questions that I can think of or anything that anybody asks me after this can also be found down in the comment section or over at the blog, in the blog post. Thanks for stopping by. I will be back very soon. I hope you have a beautiful day and take good care. Bye-bye.